Hi everyone and welcome back to the Scottish Food Show. So today we're going to do a lovely fish pie, a favourite in our household, and we've got some lovely ingredients for that today. But before we start on the fish pie, I'd like to give you a little preview of next month's as well, because we're coming into the harvest season, so we've been really busy gathering things. So we've got bits and pieces here that will end up being in the food chain. We've been picking our nasturtium seeds from the plants in our garden. These will get pickled and will make beautiful capers. They're called poor man's capers, so they're not technically capers, but they taste beautiful and they work just like capers. So that's one thing that we'll be doing here in the kitchen. Here we've got rose hips. So we're getting ready just now for the Scottish Wild Food Festival and the other Foraging Fortnight events. So we'll be making some lovely rose hip soup with the rose hips. That's something else that we've got on the go. And there's been a lot of jams on the go here with wild berries and garden berries. This one I'm rather pleased with. It's our mulberry jam, which I think I'll use for gatto quite soon. So there's lots going on here, and it never ends, and we don't want to have any waste. It's so important to use the wild foods, the foods that are in glut, the foods that are in season, and never waste a thing. But today we haven't done fish for a wee while, and I thought we would do a lovely fish pie, which, as I say, is a favourite in our house. So we've got some delicious mature farmhouse from Jane's just up the road at the back of Anstruther. So it's the St Andrews farmhouse cheese. So we're using that. And we've got some of Douglas Murray's lovely fish. So you can go into your local fishmonger and see if they've got any fish pie mix. So it's the trimmings, the taily bits, the funny shaped bits, and they put them in a dish in the counter, in the chill counter, and you can get a bit of a bargain if you don't mind having a bit of a mix. And actually, a mix is exactly what you want for a fish pie. So I can see there's haddock, I think there's some halibut, there's some trout in there, and that's just perfect for what we want. Now, I'm also going to top that up because the other day I had too much Finnan Haddie for a Cullen skink. So this was the extra, cooked, put in a bowl in the freezer, and that will get added in as well. So if you have extra fish, remember, fish has a very short storage life, but cook it, freeze it immediately, and then you can use it in a fish pie. So we're not going to cook this because it's cooked already. We're going to add it later, but we are going to cook this just now in the oven. It'll take about 10 minutes at about 180 just to cook the fish, and the milk will become a lovely stock for our sauce. So sufficient milk to cover it, like so, and a little bit of our blackthorn salt. Now, if you know that the fish pie mix has got a fair bit of smoked fish in it, then go easy on the salt, because smoked fish is saltier. But I can see here there isn't any smoked fish today. Some pepper, and that is going to go in the oven for 10 minutes. So the fish has had 10 minutes, about 8 to 10 minutes, and it's beautifully cooked. You can always tell when fish is cooked because it flakes easily with a fork. So that's ready and done. I should have said also, you can, of course, freeze fish when it's raw. It doesn't have to be cooked, but it should be absolutely fresh when you've just bought it. Sometimes I buy extra and immediately put some straight in the freezer. There's that cuckoo clock. So this bit can get a little bit slittery, but what you want to do, and it's very hot, is decant that milk into a jug. So you'll be able to add it gradually when you're making the sauce. That's that done, like so. Just clear the dribble off the bottom here. And I'm going to add in my Finnan Haddie from the previous, the ones that I said I'd put in the freezer and were pre-cooked. So I'm going to add that in, and then it's ready because it didn't need another cook. It'll get heated up. Get all the little bits out of the bowl. And just mix that in. So we've got a delicious mix here. Now I'm going to make this up to about half a litre, and I'm going to add 50 grams of butter to the pan. 225s, there it goes. Into the pan, onto the hob. So we're going to do a classic roux where you melt the butter, add the flour, and then whisk in the milk. And that will take about 5 minutes. It's very quick. So it's a very easy fish pie, but it works really well. Now you can put a potato topping on this, but for our fish pie, I use breadcrumbs. We always have some breadcrumbs on the go. In fact, got some right here, ready for the next batch. So any little ends from the bread, the heels, they get torn up, put in a bowl, and after about a week, they're perfect for making breadcrumbs. We've got a mortar and pestle there, and we have our own breadcrumbs. They're free, they're more delicious, and they make a beautiful topping on this. And it saves you peeling potatoes that day. So we're going to be adding that as well. Now, the butter is almost melted, and I'm going to use 50 grams of plain flour. So it's equal quantities of flour and butter to about half a litre of the milk. And the milk is hot, so it's going to be quite a quick sauce to make. So what you want to do is add, you can use scales, but 25 grams is a rounded tablespoon. So Granny's tablespoon is perfect for this. So we add 50 grams to the pan here, like so. And I'm just going to bring you that back to show you. So it should be on the hob at the moment, and you just want to make sure that you've mixed it in, and that is your roux. You see that there? That's your roux. And then we're going to start gradually whisking in the milk. And I will probably add the same again, so it'll be topped up, but this is the hot milk going in first. And you want it to a lovely coating consistency, and you can use a wooden spoon, but I much prefer using the balloon whisk because you get a lovely smooth sauce. So that just took a couple of minutes to create a lovely sauce. And remember, this is with your milk that's infused from the cooking. So it's got a wonderful fishy flavour. It's pure stock and lovely. And it's a nice coating consistency, which is what I want. And as I say, you can use a wooden spoon, but you can be guaranteed no lumps when you use a nice balloon whisk. I'm a great fan of the balloon whisk there. Now at this point, you can decide to add some other goodies, particularly if you have something in your fridge. Can I touch this? Yes, I can. So at the moment we've got in the cooked fish, and I'm going to add some of our pickled nasturtiums from last year. So these are the ones that are already pickled. And they're pickled in a pickling solution. So I'm just going to make sure that we're going to drain them over the sink so we're not adding any of the pickling to their mix. So we're going to add the capers because they go beautifully with fish. So we're going to sprinkle in some capers at this point into our mix. Now, if you have any vegetables left over from another meal, and you can pop them in. So a little bit of broccoli. You can put frozen peas straight from the packet in here. You don't need to cook them because they're already cooked. But if you've got any brassicas like cauliflower or broccoli, they need to be pre-cooked, or if they're raw in your fridge, blanched before you add them, because there's only going to be a very short cooking. So it's a great way of using up little bits of extra that you maybe have got in the fridge. Pop the veg in, some little bits of boiled carrot left over would be lovely. So get it in there. Good nutrition, free food, get it in there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the sauce. Pop it in over the fish and the capers. In it goes. Now I like it nice and saucy because I like it to be moist. I really like that. But if you like a thicker sauce, then just add a little bit less milk. Is that pretty much done? Like so. And make sure you're covering it completely. So using about half a litre up to maybe 600 mils of milk really does give it a lovely sauce to fill a dish like that. So it's a generous for two people, which is going to be our supper tonight. Now, next ingredient in here is going to be Jane's lovely cheese. So we put a generous helping of that over the top. And by having it on the top rather than a cheese sauce, it'll get a lovely bubbly finish, like you have when you have a lasagna. So it's going to be good and cheesy. Lots of protein. It's a very nourishing dish. And on it goes, like so. Next ingredient is our fantastic breadcrumbs, our sourdough breadcrumbs. Now, you don't want to be adding Ruscleen or some other trademark to this. You really want to have nice homemade breadcrumbs. So if you don't have that, you could cube some bread and put toasted bread on top, or go for the mashed potato as another option. So you're going to put a decent layer, because this is your carbs. So you're going to have a nice decent layer of this delicious breadcrumbs on the top. And also, when you melt cheese, you get that lovely flavoursome fat and oils oozing out, because there is that lovely dairy fat in there that's good for you. So it's not a bad thing. It's a really good, nutritious thing, especially as autumn's coming along. So these breadcrumbs absorb that. So you don't get an oily top. You get a lovely, crusty, enjoyable, beautiful finish on it. And it's as simple as that. That will go in. It's still hot, but I've got ironclad fingers. So that's going to go in. And again, it'll only take about 10 minutes, the same oven, 180, and just until it's bubbling, and then you know it's cooked right through. And here we are, 10 minutes later, with an absolutely sumptuous, delicious, bubbling, crusty topped fish pie. Perfect. And I can assure you, my husband's off camera, just waiting patiently with his fork in hand. So without more ado, I'll serve it up. So it's got a lovely crusty topping, and it's a lovely rich sauce. And this will be a delicious, nutritious supper dish in this house. A little wedge of lemon if you happen to have some around. Really delicious. Now, over September, I will be appearing at Out With in Dunfermline. Come and visit, come and say hello. There's lots to see out with, and also there will be lots of food to taste as well. The Scottish Wild Food Festival that I've mentioned already, and we have how to make your own cheese later on in September. So if you log on to scottishfoodguide.scot, you will be able to find the courses on the Good Foodology page. You'll be able to find the events on this latest newsletter, on the newsletter section. And of course, as always, plug the book. If you'd like to know more of my recipes, or you've got somebody's birthday coming up, it's a perfect present. So support us, helping to support all these lovely food producers we have here in Scotland. And look out for Scottish Food Guide, and look out for where we're appearing. Happy cooking.